The truth about adding your debt to your mortgage. Big subject this one, complicated answer. So let's find out. Hey everyone, my name is Adam, I'm an expert mortgage broker. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a video all about adding debt to your mortgage. So we're going to talk about all the things that you need to know, all the things you need to be aware of and careful about. And if you find the information today useful, then you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, there's loads more content coming every week. So the first thing we need to do is think really carefully about whether debt consolidation, that's what it's called, adding debt to your mortgage, we need to think carefully about whether this is right for you. It is not right for everyone. There's a big risk warning at the end of the video, in the description, everywhere, on every piece of mortgage paperwork you're ever going to get, there's a big risk warning. Your home may be repossessed if you don't keep up the payments on your mortgage or any other debt secured against it. So that is there for a reason. If you don't pay your mortgage, then you could get repossessed. The lender could come and take your house away from you. So this is why we need to think really, really carefully about whether adding more debt onto your house, onto your mortgage, is a good idea. But in certain situations, it can be really, really beneficial. So I'm going to run you through some examples in a minute as well about some people I've helped before and what the outcome was and how it helped them. Now, people accumulate all sorts of debts in their lives. We have credit cards, we have personal loans, we have secured loans as well. That's a little bit different. That's where you have a loan that is actually secured against your property. They're common for home improvements and that sort of thing. Some people we see have catalogues and store cards and things as well, and they can all mount up, and the interest, especially on credit cards and store cards, can be really, really high, you know, 16-17%. There are other loans, particularly if your credit hasn't been so great in the past, that charge really, really high interest rates. So it can seem quite appealing adding them onto your mortgage at 2 or 3 or 4%, depending when you're watching this video. Rates are going up a little bit at the moment, but still they're going to be better than a lot of personal loans and credit cards. Now, there's a few of those debts that we should think about that aren't a good idea to add on to your mortgage. I'm talking things like credit cards that are 0%. You take a credit card, you're not paying any interest on it at the moment. It's a 0% credit card. That might have been a balance transfer or a purchase credit card where you're not paying any interest. Well, the last thing you want to do is add that onto your mortgage where you are going to be paying interest. So we shouldn't do any credit cards that are 0%. We also shouldn't do small little loans, a few £100s here and there. Realistically, most of us can pay those off in a fairly short space of time. I'm not saying you can just go and pay them off now, but if we're going to add a loan of £400 onto your mortgage over 20 years, you're going to end up paying quite a lot more interest than you are if you can just pay it off over a few months. But we also see a lot of debts that people accumulate where it is perfectly okay to add onto your mortgage, particularly if you've accumulated those debts doing things like home improvements. If you've done a load of work to your house and you've stuck it on your credit card for now, paid your builders and bought materials and things, and now it's remortgage time and you want to pay off that debt, well, that's okay. You accumulated that debt, improving your house and increasing its value. If you've got some other debts as well that have just accumulated over time, then there is nothing wrong really with adding them onto your mortgage. So I'm going to give you a little example now. I've run these figures this morning, so they are fresh. It is worth saying that they are fresh as of today. It's sort of towards the end of July, summertime 2022 we are now. So I'm not going to give you any rates or anything like that. This is purely just examples as at today. So this isn't advice about which lender is best or anything like that. This is just an example. So today I worked out if you had a mortgage for £200,000 over 25 years, it's going to cost you roughly £950 per month. Now let's say you've got £20,000 worth of other loans. Now I've worked out what those would be over 5 years or so at around £400 or so a month. Now that's just loans, that's not factoring in credit cards and things like that, but let's say you've got about £400 or £500 worth of other loans, about £20,000. Now if when we come to change your mortgage, we go to a new lender and we change your mortgage for $220,000, so we've got the old mortgage plus those debts and things that are going to going to be paid off. Your new mortgage, still over 25 years, so keeping the term the same, not increasing that. Your new mortgage will probably be about £100 more. Now again, that's interest rates as of today. The rates change all the time, so this is just a very, very rough example, but let's say it's about £100. Well, there's a saving there, isn't there, straight away, £300 to £400, depending on what we were consolidating. So that's going to save £300 or £400 per month, and that can be, for some people, the difference, particularly with the cost of living going up so much at the moment. You know, gas and electric prices and fuel costs and things, everything else is going up. So if we can save a few £100s a month by consolidating all this debt onto your mortgage and then just repaying it, you know it's going to be paid off in, well, this example is 25 years, it may not be that long for some of you, maybe longer. But then you know at least that this debt is going to be paid off, particularly if you've got credit cards and those credit cards are on a high interest rate and you're just about managing the monthly payment, the minimum monthly payment. You're paying a very, very small amount of the actual debt of that credit card off. Most of that is interest. It is going to take you a long, long time. If you're just paying the minimum payment, it's going to take you a long time to actually pay that credit card off. So doing it this way can mean that suddenly we get rid of the credit card and we know that we're repaying that over a number of years. Now, if actually your budget was a little bit tight, but it wasn't too bad, and actually 1,050 instead of £1,400 or £1,500 a month is quite doable, maybe you could afford an extra couple of £100 on that. You're already used to paying more earlier, so if you could afford an extra couple of £100, then you could take a few years off the term. So if you could afford to pay an extra couple of £100 a month, you're going to knock a handful of years off the term of the mortgage. So actually, overall, you're going to be a little bit better off doing it that way. Now, this isn't for everyone, and not everyone's figures are quite that neat. You know, that's an example for the purposes of this, but it does illustrate that actually, if you take those loans and credit cards that you're paying a high interest rate on and add them onto your mortgage on a nice low rate over a set period of time, it can save you a good few pounds per month. Now let's look at the process then. So what we're going to do is look at what you owe your current mortgage lender. So we're going to add that into the equation, and we're going to add up all those other debts and things, and we're going to do a calculation for each one to make sure it's worth doing this. So as I said at the beginning of the video, you know, if you've got a 0% credit card or a tiny little loan for a sofa or something like that, you know, buy now, pay later, you're not paying any interest on, we don't want to add those in. So we'll factor in the debts that we know and can calculate are going to be worth paying off. We'll add those up together, and then we'll add those two figures together. So we've got the mortgage and the debts, and then we'll go to a new mortgage lender and borrow enough to cover all of that. Now, that is subject to affordability and things, obviously, and I talk about affordability in a lot of other videos, so I'll pop a link in the description so you can go and check those out and work out how much we can borrow. So affordability, credit score. Now, I'm assuming for the purposes of this that everything is up to date and you haven't missed any payments or been late paying anything on those other debts. If you have, it's not the end of the world. There are other lenders we can go to still facilitate this process for you, but it is best, obviously, if everything is up to date. If you have got some poor credit, then I have also done some videos on that, so you can go and check those out after you've watched this, obviously. So we've got our figures then from the old lender, the amount we need to pay off. We go to the new lender, we apply for a new mortgage for that whole figure. There's a bit of a legal process to go through, an application and things. It doesn't take too long, somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks normally for the process, depending on when your current rate ends. We normally try and tie in with that. But then you'll end up with a new mortgage from a new lender. Normally, if we're going with a high street lender, normal standard lender, they're going to pay off the old mortgage. There'll be a solicitor to do it for you. It doesn't cost anything, but they're going to pay off the old mortgage, and then they're going to give you a chunk of money, and that chunk of money is designed to pay off those other debts. It's up to you to do that, so you need to go and pay off those credit cards or those loans, but you'll get that money in your bank to go off and do that. Now, this process is very individual for everyone. One size does not fit all when it comes to debt consolidation. There's some things that we need to be very careful about, and we need to plan very carefully about which debts are suitable and which debts are not. And if you've done it before, there's all sorts of factors to consider. But generally speaking, it can be a good idea for a lot of people. So if you think this could be suitable for you and you want to find out a little bit more, you are more than welcome to get in touch with us. There's a link below. There's a link also below to our website. You can go and learn a little bit more about who we are at Vantage Mortgages. Obviously speak to any broker as well. You may well have your own, but we will happily go through figures for everyone when it comes to consolidating their debt, because you have to do it very carefully. So if that is you, get in touch. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video very soon. Take care.